Welcome to Noodle November. This is Jean from One Day at a Time Farmstead. This is Twisted Pasta, Noodle November 2024. My recipe is lasagna soup with meatballs served in a bread bowl. This collaboration is hosted by Tony at Kettle Kitchen. Twisted Pasta Collaboration. Hashtag Noodle November. Want you to go after this video and watch every video in the collaboration. After this video, make sure you follow through and watch it to the end so you can see the rules for the giveaway. Hello, it's Jean from One Day at a Time Farmstead. We are cooking lasagna soup with meatballs. I like the little meatballs as an extra. I'll have the little recipe after this of how I made these little balls, but they're half of a teaspoon a piece, and we're just going to add them to our lasagna soup. So we're browning these. We're going to drain any liquids off of it, and we're going to put them off to the side to cool while we're making our meat sauce. So hang in there. For the tiny meatballs, we used half a pound of lean ground beef. We used a 93% meat and 7% fat. We used half of a pound of this premium breakfast sausage. 1 teaspoon of ground roasted garlic, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground turmeric, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground thyme, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground oregano, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground peppercorn medley, 1/4 of a teaspoon ground basil, 1/2 a teaspoon finely ground Redmond salt. I added 1 teaspoon of sun-dried tomatoes finely chopped to the meatball mixture. 1/2 of a small yellow onion chopped fine. Mix everything together well. Make meatballs using a round 1/2 of a teaspoon measuring spoon. Form into balls with your hand. Because these are lean meatballs, spray the pan before placing your meatballs in the pan. Cook on medium heat. Stir meatballs after one side is fully cooked until all sides are browned. Remove from heat after fully cooked. Set aside until later. Here's our wonderful little meatballs. We made 64, 1/2 a teaspoon a piece. This is a very lean meat. It's 93% meat and 7% fat. The only thing that had fat was the ground pork sausage that was seasoned. That was it. Now in the same pot that we cooked down the little meatballs in, we're going to use to cook our meat sauce in. So this is 2.5 pounds of ground beef and 1/2 pound of ground pork sausage that is seasoned, which is pretty much basic breakfast sausage. And this is the mild version. All right, we have 1.5 medium onions, and then I have a cup of the mixed red, orange, yellow, and green peppers. All right, so we just dumped all of our onions and peppers and all on top. We're going to add our seasonings. We do have 1/2 cup of garlic, fresh garlic, minced, but we're not going to add that until after this is almost completely cooked, because I don't want the garlic to cook down so much that you don't taste it. I want it to be that the flavor is very flavorful with the garlic when it's closer to being done. Alright, so our meat is about cooked. We're going to go ahead and add the garlic and my seasonings. The seasoning mix right here is going to be a teaspoon of roast granulated garlic, a 1/4 teaspoon of basil dry, a 1/2 a teaspoon Redmond salt, a 1/4 teaspoon thyme, 3/4 teaspoon oregano, 3/4 teaspoon peppercorn medley, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and add all that and cook that down until it's where I need it to be. Oh, and I forgot, we have a half a teaspoon of turmeric too. All right, everything is cooked well. The vegetables are pretty translucent and limp. So we're going to move on to the next step, which I'm going to pull this out, drain any excess liquids, which I'm pretty sure there's not much, if any, and then we'll do the next step. Now in the same pan you just took the meat out of, you can use that pan. You're going to be using crushed tomatoes, chili ready, tomato paste, diced tomatoes. I like the one with the basil and garlic and oregano for this, and then the petite diced green chili tomatoes. So these are all going to add texture and flavor to it, but we're just going to add that. We're going to brown our tomato paste real quick. Alright, I just like to put my tomato paste in the same skillet with the oils and all in it and brown it a little bit. It just wakes up the flavor really good when you brown it a little. Okay, so we browned it a little bit. It smells so good. We're going to add our other tomatoes. Now I'm making a really large batch. You can cut this in half or quarters for your family size. In a little while we're going to be adding our parsley. This is fresh grown. This I got from the store, the oregano and the basil. I like the organic. We rinse it off, kind of de-stem it. I leave little pieces of stem, but really doesn't matter. We kind of use that once we're getting close to the end. We add that for just a burst of flavor and color. I don't know about y'all guys, but the sun-dried tomatoes in the oil is like amazing. I like to get this one with the Italian herbs in it for cooking Italian foods, but the flavor is just a whole new level. Now we're going to add 4 teaspoons of sugar, which is going to cut the bitterness and the harshness of the tomatoes down so they're not so bitter. Takes that kind of acidic, real acidic taste out. And I cooked that down specifically with just my tomatoes, not everything else. I add everything back in a little while. So I cooked the sugar down with just the tomatoes, and I cook it on a medium-low heat until the tomatoes look brown. The camera makes them look kind of brown right now, but they're not. So I cooked that down for probably a good hour and let it get to the brown color. Now my lasagna, I like to add, or lasagna soup, the whole baby bell mushrooms cut up. A lot of people don't, but I do. I just think it's an extra level of flavor and texture. So we're going to add 2 cups of chopped up baby bella mushrooms. Okay, so we added our mushrooms to our sauce, and we're going to let that cook down till the mushrooms are limp, and then we're going to add our beef base, or beef stock, whatever you want to call it. Okay, remember, don't taste your tomato sauce that you're making at this point, because you will be adding the meat back in, and the meat is already flavored with the salt and things like that. So make sure everything's incorporated well before you taste it again, because remember, the tomato sauce is going to be a little sweet because you're dealing with the raw product, not jar. But you can, if you don't want to go through all these steps, you're more than welcome to use ragu or pesto or whatever other jar brands out there to cut thyme. And I just like the authentic Italian sauce flavor, so that's why we go this long route, but the other does taste good just as well. Alright, we've added our meat back in. We're going to stir all this together, incorporate it well, and then I'm going to add it to a stock pot with the beef broth and stuff. Alright, we've added our sauce into our stock pot. Now we're adding 4 cups of beef broth or beef stock. You can use homemade or store-bought. Today I'm using store-bought. And then here are our seasonings that we had. Alright, now that we added all our stuff to our stock pot, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomatoes that were in oil. Tablespoon of basil, this is fresh. Tablespoon of parsley, and tablespoon of oregano, just all fresh ingredients, except for the sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, so we added all our things in the pot, in the stock pot. Now we're going to put our little meatballs that we made. We're going to add them to it and stir that up. All right, for our cheese mixture that we're going to put into, plop on the top of our lasagna soup, we got the mozzarella cheese, half a block of the cream cheese. We have half of the ricotta, a full Parmesan, excuse me, half a block of cheddar, which is both the cheddar and mozzarella is 8 ounce, fresh oregano, fresh parsley, and fresh basil. So that is what and then the green onions, that's what we're making the cheese dip with. I'll show you when it's done. You're just going to mix all that together. You know, the cheddar cheese and the mozzarella shredded. The cream cheese is softened. Everything whips in real good together, and we'll show you how it's done. Alright guys, this is what it looks like when it's all mixed up. We scooped it out in little balls. We froze it for, well, not froze it, but we put it in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes just so it's more solid. It will cool down your lasagna soup a little, but it also adds those great flavors that you're used to getting in lasagna. Talk about delicious. Again, this is the same way I make my cheese balls, so you can just take the ingredients from there and make cheese balls if you'd like. And serve it with crackers. But not today. We're going to serve it with our lasagna soup. Now we're going to slightly boil our Gigli Toscani, and then we'll add it to our soup. Alright, here is our Gigli Toscani, and it is shaped like a lily. It's a twisty noodle, but I'll tell you the story behind it. We're going to now add that to our soup. Alright, there you have it. Lasagna soup with the Gigli Toscani. Like I said, I'll tell you the little story. It's hard to tell because of the steam. Let the steam come down a little with the little meatballs and stuff, and I'll show you how we're going to serve it up. Alright, there you have it. You put them in your little bread bowls, and you put your little dollop of cheese ball sauce, I call it, because I make cheese balls just the same way, and a little sprig of parsley, and it's time to eat. Now we've made our little bread bowls. We've scooped out the centers. You just cut off the top right here, scoop out the center, and we brushed it with butter, garlic, and fresh parsley. We're going to toast those until they're golden. Now we have our nicely browned bowls. Okay, as I told you, I was going to give you a little history on the Gigli Toscani. It's an artesian pasta. Tuscan's rich culinary traditions was formally codified in the 19th century under Lorena's dynasty. During the Renaissance, Florentine's gastronomy was expressed through sumptuous banquets, which were an eloquent manifestation of Tuscan culture amidst aristocracy of the era. The relevance of such events prompted the most famous artists of the time, such as the sculptor Bernardo Ballantini, to devote themselves to the organization of huge variety of ceremonies. The culinary art became a science thanks to several cooking and etiquette books, which have been handed down through the generations. Florentine liked to highlight that once Caterina de' Medici was married to King Henry II in 1553, she is who introduced the recipes that enabled French cuisine. The Tuscan cuisine embraced the unique rustic charm founded on excellent quality of the raw materials and reflects the strong identity and genuine spirit of the Tuscan people. The shape of this pasta resembles a lily flower, which is the symbol of Florence. Ever since the Roman Empire, gilli is a typical pasta of Tuscan culinary tradition. In the past, this particular cut of pasta was obtained by rolling each small piece of dough into the shape of a lily with beautiful ruffled edges. Today it is made by using a bronze die extrusion. This keeps the rough texture and the nice porous surface, both of which is perfect to catch pasta sauce wonderfully. Some people say that this pasta also resembles little bells. I hope you enjoy. So go check out all the wonderful collaborators. They have worked so hard to bring you all these awesome recipes. The playlist will be in the description. This is Twisted Pasta, hashtag Noodle November 2024. Again, this collaboration is hosted by Tony over at Kettle Kitchen. We thank you so much, Tony, for inviting us to this collaboration. Now, go watch every video in this collaboration. Twisted Pasta, hashtag Noodle November. For the giveaway, you must watch each video in the collaboration and making meaningful comment on every video. Prizes can or may be drawn from comments in the videos, hashtags, and or comments in the live chat. Please, again, don't forget to make a meaningful comment on each and every video in this collaboration. Okay, and for the giveaway, don't miss the opportunity on December 3rd, 2024 on Kettle Kitchen's channel at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be doing the giveaway, or should I say Tony will be doing the giveaway. There'll be a chance to win several prizes, so don't miss it. Thanks for joining me, and as always, thanks for doing life together with us, one day at a time.